Hi, welcome to another code snippet discussion. So today you're viewing a code snippet which I've shared on my Telegram channel, and this code snippet is a little complex, and we have multiple concepts residing inside this 25 liner of code snippet. So we'll just go into this code snippet and understand each and every concept more in detail. Probably this video might be a little bit lengthier, but ideally this would give you a lot of enhanced knowledge on multiple concepts. Like for example, treating with the object class, the default topmost object class that we have in Java. We'll be discussing about the equals method. We'll be discussing about how we can differentiate between the usage of an equals method and a double equal to operator. Usually we used to have double equal to operator to find the equality of a couple of variables. But that's going to be a different case when it comes to an object representation, when you're trying to find the equality of two different objects. Then we have a little bit of a workaround to be done. We cannot go for a straightforward use of double equal to operator there where we pitch in with equals method. But anyways, let's jump into the code and see more of a practical understanding of these concepts more in detail, and we will understand what's the outcome of this code snippet. So without ado delay, let's get into the action. So let me bring up my IDE, and we are going to create a specific class similar to what we have seen on the code snippet. Okay, fine. So here I'm just going to create a class named as test equals, and as usual we'll just have the main method in place. So here we have the base template ready. So the class name is test equals, and as per the code snippet, you can see the class name is test equals. We do have one more class called book. Okay, we will define that book, and then we'll write the piece of logic that is residing inside this book, and then we'll get into the main method to create an object for this book class, and then we'll try to find out the equality of the objects by using double equal to operator and equals method. Okay, so what we have to do as per the code snippet is, first thing is we need to declare a class called class book, and this book class is going to carry an instance variable called string ISBN. Okay, this is not a constant variable. As you can see that the variable identifier name is given completely on uppercase. Okay, it's an uppercase. ISBN is completely on uppercase. Usually we represent that uppercase completely when it is a constant variable, but ideally this is not a constant variable. It's a plain instance variable which is declared inside this book class, and we are going to create a constructor, explicit constructor, which is going to carry an argument called string val. Okay, and this constructor is going to initialize to the variable called ISBN using the parameter variable called the val. So what you are seeing here is initializing the ISBN. Okay, the ISBN variable is getting initialized through this parameter variable. This is a variable which we call it as local variable. Local to which block? Local to the constructor block. So this variable's lifetime is only within this constructor. So once you step out of this closed curly braces of this constructor, the memory of this val variable is lost. It's losing its lifetime once you come out of the scope of this constructor. So that's why we tend to call all the parameter variables to be a local variables as well. So notice it that this constructor is used to initialize the instance variable. Usually constructors are used for initializing the instance variable, right? So that's what we are trying to do here in this class as well. So we have an instance variable, and we have created a constructor, and we are good to go. The logic here is, we'll come to this piece of code shortly. We need to write an equals method here, but we'll come to that shortly. Before that, what I would like to give you as an input here is, we have something called object class in Java. Okay, object class in Java. So this object class is the topmost class that we have in Java. Okay, so meaning is, any class you create in Java, that class is going to be related to object class. So no class is a super class in Java. The custom classes that you create or the predefined classes that we already have, all these are not the supermost class. The supermost class that we have in Java is object class. Okay, this is a more important point that you have to note. And these, why I'm saying it's a supermost class is because in Java inheritance hierarchy, we have a multi-level inheritance. In that perspective, any class you create, by default, the class is going to extend the object class. Okay, so why I'm talking about this right now, because we need to discuss something about equals method. Okay, extends object class, right? We need to extend the object class in order to override the equals method if in case you want to check the equality of two objects. We'll come to that more in detail shortly, but right now you just understand, any class you create, by default it's going to inherit the object class. So where the object class is residing, the object class is residing inside the lang package, the default package that we have. So usually we don't import the lang package because that's the default package that we have in Java, right? So java.lang dot, if you see, there is one object class here, right? So we don't tend to import this because it's going to be available by default. So now if you just go into this object class, okay, so when we step into this object class, you can see this object class is existing from the version of Java 1.0. That is, from the very first version of Java itself, this object class is existing. Okay, so as they are defining from the documentation, if you see, it's a documented comment, class object is the root of the class hierarchy. So any class you create, the class is going to get related to object. Every class has object as its super class. All objects, including arrays, implement the method of this class. So whatever methods that is there inside this class will be inherited into the child classes. So all classes in Java are by default child classes because they are inheriting the object class. With explicit or without, with explicitly you can do it, or you can default it to extending the object class. So understanding here is, the one point that you have to note down from this code snippet is, Java provides a topmost class, the root class. Okay, we call it as a root class, supermost class, and that's nothing but object. Even we don't visualize anything as such in the declaration of the class as using extends keyword, but there is an extends keyword. Compiler is going to hold the extends of object and it's going to compile by default with that template. So class book extends object. So when you're looking this class for the very first time, you should not consider this class as a supermost class. Okay, it's not a standalone class. This class is depending on object class because it extends object. So book is going to be a child class. Okay, so let's say I have another class called library. Okay, class called library, and this library is going to extend, okay, the book class. What does it mean? Does it mean the library is not related to object class? No, the library is still related to object class because library is inheriting the book and the book is inheriting the object class. So this brings in the term called multi-level inheritance. Okay, so you go from the library to book to object. There is no multiple. So Java does not support multiple inheritance, but Java encourages to use multi-level inheritance, or we call it as multi-level inheritance. So class library extends book. So libraries, library class, parent, grandparent class, let's say, okay, grandparent class is going to be like object. The parent, immediate parent is book, but the grandparent is object. Okay, still library is related to object. Book is straightly related to object. Library is related to book and book is related to object. So indirectly, library is also related to the object class. That's why we say that object class is going to be the rootmost class. Okay. Okay. So what are the methods that this object class is offering? Okay. So that we have to check out, right? So let's go ahead and spin up a terminal right now, and we'll see what are the methods that we can quickly take out from this object class. So java p space java dot lang dot object. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to print the list of methods that we have in this object class. So java p is going to help us in extracting the methods, okay, the meta informations of the class. So the meta informations is like object is a class, and this object is having these many methods. So you can notice all the methods are mostly public methods which are eligible for inheriting into the child classes. There is a specific native methods are there which is protected. Native methods are technically a method which is relevantly built on top of the native language, like C language. So that's why we call it as a native. And you also have another method called protected, which is used to declare the method as a protected method, and it is used exclusively on the inheritance mechanisms alone. Okay, let's look at an important method here, which is called as an equals method, public Boolean equals, right? So this is the important method. This is the one that we are actually seeing right now on our code snippet. So public Boolean equals Java lang object. It takes the parameter of object itself. Notice the parameter for the equals method is nothing but object itself. So equals method returns Boolean and takes the input as object class object and returns a Boolean type. As the name suggests, the method name suggests, it is going to find the equality of two different object. Okay, two different object. So by default, all these public methods are getting inherited into our child class. So if you notice here, even though class book looks like it's an independent class, it doesn't extend any class, but actually it is extending the object class and inheriting with all the methods that are offered from the object class. From that perspective, we are going to override one method called equals method. So we'll come back to that equals method shortly. Before that, let's go ahead and create a couple of object first for this book. Okay, let's learn this step by step, because this seems to be a little bit of lengthier. Okay, so we have multiple concepts involved in this, so that let's stay more closer into the code and then understand the concepts more in detail. So far, if you look at this snippet, we have a book class and we have a test equals method, and the test equals method is the method which is going to be used for executing this particular program, because we have a main method here, right? So the entry level method is with the main. It starts from the main. So here I'm going to create a couple of object called book. So as per the code snippet, we have book, couple of books here, right? Creating an object of this book class and providing some value into it. So why we have to create two objects? Because we are going to find out the equality of two different objects. So book, let's say B1 equals new book of, and then provide a value called 1234 hyphen 4657, and we are going to create another book object, B2 equals new book of, and then say again 1234 hyphen 4657. Okay, so it's going to be the same value. Okay, you can see. So what exactly happens here is we are forwarding the value, the string value, to the constructor, right? So here we have the constructor, book class constructor, which is taking a string as a parameter, and this value goes in here, and this variable val is getting assigned to this ISBN. So this ISBN is going to be the instance variable, and this instance variable is going to be assigned to this object. So B1 is an instance, and this B1 which is having an memory will carry a memory for the string and hold the value called the 1234-4657. Okay. The same way, another book object is created, will be having a B2, the memory, the instance B2's memory, and in that there will be a memory for string, and that string ISBN, which is ISBN, will be holding the value called 1234567. Okay. So each instance is going to carry its own separate memory of ISBN, and that's why we call it as an instance variable. So instance variables are the variables which are allocated to every instance that you create. So if I create 100 instance of the book, for every 100 instance, independent memory of this string variable will be allotted. So that's the difference between an instance variable and a static variable. So right now what we have to see here is, we have to notice that we have right now created a couple of variable, and we can go ahead and use the further lines from the code snippet that we have. So sysout, first one that I'm going to do is I'm going to use the B1 dot using an equals method of B2. Okay, checking the equality of two objects, plus giving some separator, and I guess it's going to be a print here, not a println. So I'm writing the same way how it happens in the code snippet that was shared. So dot out dot print, and here I'm going to say B1 equal to B2. So there are two fashioned line of code is written here. One is checking for the equality of two object. Okay, another one is also checking for the equality of two object, but there is a major difference between using equals method and double equal to. Now if you notice, how come this equals method is coming? B1 is a book object, B2 is a book object. How come this equals method is coming? Do we have any equals method here? Visually, okay, you cannot see any equals method present in this particular book class explicitly, but implicitly what happened here was, as I already briefed you, it extends the object class, and the object class is helping us to inherit the equals method here. So we are still having the approach of using the equals method straight away, because there is an equals method implicitly, but explicitly we are unable to view it. But we cannot use the equals method directly, because we have a custom object where we need to check for the equality of the custom object. So we need to try to override the equals method and try to apply our logic of on top of what you want to check the equality of two object, right? So that is something which is another set of discussions that we have to do. So according to this code snippet, we have derived till almost 70% of the code we have analyzed. We still have a 30% more of the code. So I'll just stop here. I'll bring up a part 2 of this code snippet series, so that there you will be finding more understanding of the equals method, how to override the equals method, and we have to see the differentiation between the equals method and double equal to operator more in detail. Okay, so as I said, this code snippet is pretty lengthier, right? So that's the reason I want to split them up into two different parts. So part 1, we have explored many things. Most of the things are already aware of it, because we have discussed in our earlier code snippet discussions as well. But now let's park aside and come back and see the way how we can override an equals method from the object class explicitly, and how we are going to differentiate between equals method and double equal to operator, right? Thank you so much, and we'll catch up in the part 2.